That's the jail. That's where I'm supposed to sleep tonight. That's the courthouse.
Any last thing you want to say to the camera?
In I go.
All right.
Whistling in the dark, whistling every day, whistle on one. Live my life away on a lake of fire, where I live and I stay till the Lord Himself comes to take flames away.
When did we stop being concerned with impressing ourselves? And so I'll tell you, I'm impressed with Trevor Todd. I am impressed with Trevor Todd, whether you are or not. Whether my father's impressed with me or not. Whether my mother's impressed, whether my children are impressed with me or not. Whether any motherfucker on the planet is impressed with me, it doesn't matter, because I'm impressed. Because I decide to make an album, and it's done. Because I decide to make a movie, and it's done. Because I decide to play a show, and it's done. Because I do anything I fucking want to do. I am free, and that's the truth about freedom in America. Is that I can do that. I had to pee. Here you go. This is great shit. Why do I have the camera over there? Oh, my sweet, sweet sugar pup. You going?
Yeah, we're going.
That's my sweet, sweet sugar pup. My mom gave me her for my 33rd birthday. She was born on my 33rd birthday. And my mom gave her to me. Come here, puppy. Come here, sugar bear. Come on. Oh, that's a good girl. She's like a forever puppy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, good dog. But I gave her to Jenny. Because, you know, Jenny had she had a brain surgery when she was young, before I ever knew her. And then we were living together. She came down, like, needing emergency brain surgery. And I mean, like, in like 3 days, our lives just, you know, doing what we were doing and whatever else, all of a sudden, her head's cracked open there inside her brain, you know, doing stuff like hardcore. the big huge tumor in her pons. And then she was in the hospital for about a month, and I got her home, and then she hemorrhaged on me. I got her to UC Davis like within an inch of her life. I mean, in my arms. I didn't have time to call the ambulance or nothing, you know. Then she had a second brain surgery, and I never got her home. They kept her in the hospital for that, and then she had to have a third, and they clipped some nerves and stuff in there on the third one. And that made me go around and, you know, tell her parents that she wasn't going to live, you know. I mean, like, she wasn't supposed to survive that third.
On a lake of fire.
I'm going to go outside, dude. It shouldn't take more than a couple minutes, right?
Yeah.
I'll go outside and do that. I don't think the gas is going.
Yeah, that might be the issue. And gosh, I've known Trevor for going on 8 years now, and we actually met doing karaoke in the Maple Room, which is a local bar in town. We've been on again, off again for a few years. I had brain surgery, which was just a hemorrhage that they went in and took out, no problem. So I had checkups from that. And Trevor and I got back together. I had just had a checkup. We went on vacation and came back, and the doctor told me I had to have surgery. I had a mass in the stem of my brain. Trevor had been struggling, so at that time he was drinking, and just we'd gotten back together, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I told him if he wanted to leave, he could leave. If he, you know, I didn't know. I didn't know what the expectations were. And Trevor stayed. He made the decision to stay, and Trevor had to step up and take care of everything. And my life was literally not only in the doctor's hands, but in Trevor's hands. And he took care of things how he had to take care of things. He did probably what most probably couldn't do. He handled it how he had to handle it. And, you know, I'm just grateful and thankful that he was there at that time and part of my life.
What are your thoughts on what's going on now?
Oh gosh.
With like the accident and the trial and everything.
It's unreal, I guess. Trevor and I we've been through a rough road. It's a really rough road. Being friends and being intimate has really been hard, but I never expected that this would actually happen. We weren't together at the time that he got into that accident, so I don't know all the details other than what I've heard and being there at the trial. It's unreal. I never thought that they would actually prosecute him. It's disheartening as a whole with the judicial system, just our system. You know, 12 people, your life is in 12 strangers' hands, and then in an instant they can decide to send you away or, you know, let you stay. I hope that he will be on the right track going forward. I know he struggled a lot. You know, I know he's got his daughter, so it's just disheartening.
Don't you wanna know what I had to say?
So you can see, like, right over here where apparently the vehicle I was traveling in was coming down this way and exited the roadway right there where the fence is never fixed. The car went up into there, hit a tree, knocked a tree out right there, hit another tree right here, came down through the person's yard, and then was over there by that white marker, or a little farther, actually was close to the yellow sign, I think, I don't remember. In the suicide lane, I was found right there dead. I always like to look for my stuff.
Yeah,
Lost a like a $2,000 watch. Yeah, it's gone. What I don't understand is how a little Ford Escape gets into this ditch, pops all the way up that embankment, hits that tree, whatever else, and then somehow I'm ejected out of the passenger the passenger window. There's no way. Look at me. I'm huge. So
Wake up in the morning, baby, feeling low. And maybe I'm just kinda sick of this.
Where were you? How did you feel when you heard about Trevor Todd's accident?
I was in Elk Grove. Pretty sure I was at my parents' house. And, yeah, I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach, like just like this queasy feeling. I definitely had to say a prayer at that point. Because I mean, just hearing the word coma. I mean, it may have been in text. I think it was in text, but it was just like, whoa. You know, that's no joke. You know, you may not see that guy again.
But I never meant one less single thing.
ready?
Roger, David.
Get your shit together.
If we can get along and do well, so can you. We need more Floyd.
More Floyd.
I met Trevor, man, many years ago. I think it was 1997. We were both working for an alarm company. He was a sales guy. When I met him, I was running the installation crew. I didn't really like Trevor at first when I met him. I thought that he was real loud and boisterous and a little too much energy for me at the time. We were both promoted up through the management ranks to where we were regional managers for 3 shops. And we had to do a lot of traveling together. A lot of out-of-town time together, sharing hotel rooms together. We both had the same exact likes in music, the same likes in movies. You know, every time we were around each other, we were quoting lines to movies. You know, that's the Shiznito snip snap sack. You know, we used to do that a lot.
You did fine, buddy.
One day he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, are you home? I'm gonna come over to your house." All right, so he comes over and he's all tatted up and his hair's grown long. He's got a cowboy hat on. I'm like, "All right, what's up, Mr. Rockstar?" And he's like, "Hey, I just made an album." You know, that was when he made Scathing Indictment for the Righteous. You know, I kind of dug what he was doing on it and you know, called him back, told him what I thought about it, and didn't hear from him again for a little while. It was back to off and on, off and on.
At the time, it was me, Trevor, and Trevor was hanging out with Steve, and Steve was going to play drums. As soon as they started talking about the name of the band, that's when Steve cut out.
I was the original drummer of 7 Foot Fetish, and we've had our ups and downs, and it's been a good time.
Trevor wanted to name it, you know, 7 Foot Fetish after the label he had, and I didn't have any problem with that. I mean, I knew from the get-go that we were going to be doing pretty much his material.
You know, with Trevor, it seemed that we were kindred spirits, and in a common goal of trying to continue on with music, and we sat around for a while talking about how we were going to put together something, and it finally came to fruition, and he continued to do what he was doing with it, and had success with that, and I wish him all the best.
You are a queen. He starts to hold you.
the day that the accident happened. Came over here, we had a barbecue. So after we got done with the barbecue here, he was like, hey man, you know, I'm gonna go to this other barbecue thing. You know, why don't you come with me? And it's like, yeah, I'd like to, but I've been drinking and, you know, I don't want to go anywhere. And he's like, oh, you know, don't worry about it. I'm like, nah, I think I'm just gonna kick it at home, you know, go have fun at your barbecue, be safe. That night, 4:30 in the morning, my cell phone rings and it wakes me up, and I look at it and it's his number, and I think, oh, Trevor calling me in the middle of the night, fucking drunk, you know. Hey, what's up? You know, I'm just like, I'll just let it go to voicemail. I'll call him tomorrow, see how he's doing. When I woke up, 10 o'clock the next morning, I checked my voicemail, and it's this chick that he was dating at the time just screaming at me about how I let him leave my house drunk, and he got in an accident, and now he's in a coma in the hospital, and I'm an asshole, and fuck me, and I'm a horrible friend, and how could I do this to him? And I was floored. I was completely blown away. I didn't believe it at first. And I came out of the room, and my wife looked at me, and she said it was white as a ghost. She said, what's wrong? I said, you're not going to believe this message I just got. And man, that fucked me up really bad for a while. You know, I was going around and talking to friends and family about it. And to this day, I'm still pissed off at that girl for calling me up and laying that trip on me, because, you know, when he left here, I thought he was fine, you know, and apparently it had happened after, you know, he went to another party. We called up every day and checked, how is he doing, how is he doing? You know, he got moved to a room, so I was calling the room every day. Me and my wife, we were both calling it. You know, nobody would ever answer there. And I wanted to go to the hospital, but I didn't want to run into his girlfriend, because he's in the hospital. He doesn't, you know, need that kind of stress, because I was pissed. It was probably a week after he got out, I think, that I got a call from him, and you know, he sounded like he'd just come out of coma, and was talking to me, you know, about it. And he was apologizing for his girlfriend. Yeah, I told him he didn't need to apologize to me for that. You know, it was on her. And that, you know, hey, I did check on you. You know, even though you didn't see me when we were in the hospital, don't think that, you know, I was thinking about him every day.
Sometimes it's the remember where we were.
I came up with a new saying. Good.
Yeah, what's that?
When life gives you lemons, go to Greg's house, borrow 2 cups of sugar, and make lemonade.
I'm a 37-year-old musician by trade. I have 2 kids. I'm divorced, well, separated, but yeah. I make films, do lots of creative stuff. I'd always had such an immense, you know, love for music, and I was good at it, man. I could play anything I touched, and you know, I played music and recorded music over the years in different spots and different stuff, and you know, constantly getting in bands and out of bands and starting bands, and not, you know. In 2005, I just started writing, and found that I could write, you know, full-on songs, and they were pretty good, you know. And so in 2007, I recorded Scathing Indictment of the Righteous, which was a 15-song album. Half of it were the full production songs I'd written, and then half of it's extemporaneous. I played all the instruments on the album. I started out having to have, you know, I got a few people involved in it, and just with personality conflicts and stuff, people dropped off. And so I did real well just with internet marketing and stuff like that. You know, I'm probably at 19,000 copies sold, which is a dismal failure for a major label release, but for, you know, for a dude like me, you know, making $8-9 a record, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, better than I thought I'd do. I'd figured out that I was gonna need, you know, a band to do things, and I'd started a band, and you know, we were getting through the lineup. You got to shake through a few people to get to where you're happy, and I'd gone through a drummer, and I'd gone through 2 bass players, and it was on my 2nd guitar player when we kind of came to rest, and then I had the accident. first people that pulled up on the scene found me dying in the suicide lane. The car was about 80 yards away, a buddy of mine's car. And as they were giving me first aid, a friend of mine came out the bushes right next to the car. He was bleeding. He told the police that he was not driving, that he'd gotten in a fight at a bar and just happened to be walking up on a scene just as drunk as I was and injured at an accident scene. The cops let him go on his word. So, I mean, I don't remember anything for about a week before that, and I just all of a sudden I woke up in the hospital, maybe a month later after a coma. I was hurt really badly. I had what's called a Rancho level 4 head injury, and it was, a lot of people didn't know if I was ever going to come back. You know, we got back to work. I had contacted the News and Review to help promote our comeback show. They heard my story, and a reporter contacted me to do an interview. The interview was in the 15 minutes section. Yeah, I told her I do not remember. I just gave her the best approximation of what, you know, other people had told me. My finger's great. I was playing guitar in front of the Starbucks I hang out at, and cops pull up one day, yank my guitar out of my hands, and cuff me and take me downtown. And I hadn't even known that I was charged. Nobody had contacted me, nothing, whatever else. Somebody had mailed the district attorney a copy of the article because they had asked me. They said, "What happened with the accident?" And I said, "I don't know. I was driving down," and I meant in a general way. I was driving down Fair Oaks Boulevard, or we were driving, any of that other stuff. And that's actually, the DA charged me with felony DUI for, how bad I got hurt, because the CHP officer had indicated that I was the only one at the scene and the only one that was ever there. Which we know now after the trial, not true. So.
People say rock bands don't work.
But I went to jail and I bailed out and started a 3-year court process where I actually had 79 court appearances on this one case. It's been fun. Yeah, they pursued it. So, the truth is I don't know that I was driving or not. And so I figure, other than proving it to 12 people, how about you prove it to me? They never produced any witnesses. They have no pictures of the vehicle. They have it's all just basically the one CHP officer's opinion. But the jury, for whatever reason, found me guilty last week.
Yeah, sweet.
Hello, all right. We are reunited because I gotta go away.
Tried to have me roped up and put in jail right there as the verdict came down. I'm like, come on, really? And so we talked to the judge, and he was kind enough to give me a little bit of time to try and put my affairs in order. And then I have to show up at the end of the month.
How long? What's the sentence?
Sentencing isn't until the end of the month, but it's going to be substantial. continued on with 7-Foot Fetish. You know, had a few different people at every, you know, position in the band. I tried to open a recording studio. I wrote and filmed an independent film called The Undoing, premiered it. Then we recorded a new album. We toured to Seattle. You know, I've just been kind of doing everything. You know, like everything I want to do. Like a lot of people sit around and they talk about what they're going to do and whatever else. And you know.
I met Trevor Todd just by complete accident. Friends of mine that were involved with the Trash Film Orgy. It's a collective group of horror movie geeks. So I meet him like once, maybe twice. 8 years passed. Don't see him. He's doing karaoke at this bar that I like that's near friends of mine that I'm staying at. So we go there. He finishes up his set. He comes over and is like, I know you. You were into movies. And I'm like, oh, he thinks I'm Kevin Smith. Okay, I'll play. So we catch up, and he's got an idea for a flick, which granted was out there at first.
Pack your things, all right? I'll find somebody else to finish this job.
No son of mine doesn't work.
And then the elements started coming together into this great little short feature we made with no money. He pulled together people from the internet, from local, and me.
Like-minded people that are willing to work together with an open mind, you can do absolutely anything. And I wanted to thank everybody in the cast, and especially Greg. Without him, I don't think I would have eaten.
We packed a house at the Crest Theater downtown. He's come through. In 2 months, I had a film. I've been trying to make a film, you know, with other friends forever, and he found someone who had cameras. He had found someone who could do editing. He found some actors of reasonable ability.
And I think just having that bail, having this court case hanging over my head, having almost died, I came back kind of, you know, charged up that, like, you know, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I got stuff I want to do. You know? And so, like, you know, I just got busy with all that kind of thing.
Well, what are your thoughts about Trevor's future? Like, where do you think he's headed?
Man, I don't know. I really don't. He's capable of anything. He really is. I call him the guy who pulls rabbits out of his ass. It's just amazing some of the stuff he pulls off sometimes. I honestly, and I've told him, I think that he gets in his own way sometimes. You know, we joke about the ego, but I mean, everybody knows the guy's got a huge ego. That isn't necessarily bad for a lot of things that he does. I think that he sells himself short sometimes. I think that he's got some things that he's dealing with.
What was your experience like in the coma?
You know, I'd gone to this weird place, and it was like, it's kind of like a dark city. And in the center of this place, there was this big throne. No one was allowed to sit on it. And I remember sniffing around the throne. Yeah. But eventually what had happened is they brought me into to talk to this stringy-haired old dude, a little biker dude looking kind of guy. Yeah, I asked him questions, you know, and he had said that, you know, this wasn't about money. That this wasn't about, you know, status. This wasn't about judging people. This wasn't about any, you know, whatever else. It was about, like, how open you could get your heart to other people. Like how, I guess it was about love, you know. Just as all he talked about was love the whole time. And he had his little boombox behind him, and he was listening to John Lennon songs, you know, like weird stuff I didn't really get into before the accident, you know, like I don't know that I would know it so well, but it was like working class hero, jealous guy, don't let me down, you know, and just all these weird different things and whatever else. And I asked him about it. I go, why do you listen to John Lennon? He goes, John had it pretty well figured out. And so somewhere in the conversation I had bartered, you know, that I wanted to come home and see my daughter. I wanted to, you know, I'd come out of that with the whole experience, the one saying, the mantra that I was sent back with is preference is the natural enemy of progress. Preference is the natural enemy of progress. Preference is the natural enemy of progress. And that was just drilled in my head coming out of the coma. When I woke up, I kept saying that to myself, and it took me a minute to figure out what it meant. But see, I get into these situations musically, I get into situations, you know, romantically, you get into these situations work-wise, you get into all these situations in your life. And if you look at what holds people back from doing what they want to do or getting anywhere, it's their preferences. I need to be, and I need to, and if they, you know, they have all these different things on there, or whatever else, that stop them from actually ever doing anything. And that was drilled in my head, so I woke up with that. If there's any kind of weird, spooky stuff about that experience, is that I woke up saying preference is the natural enemy of progress. And it's been absolutely true. And with that mantra, I've been able to go into music, go into films, go into just about anything, whatever else, instead of nitpicking on how I want it to be perfect, or nitpicking on how it needs to be, or nitpicking so it serves my ego, or, any of that stuff. I just get it done. Get it done. And then you can sit around and talk about preferences. Then you can sit around and do whatever.
I think that when he goes into projects, he goes into them, let's get it done. Like sometimes he feels that it's more important to say that he did something rather than put a lot of time and effort into it, and maybe take the process a little bit slower and put out a real quality product rather than just putting out a product. And not to say that everything he does is horrible, by no means. But I think that a lot of what he has done could have been so much better had he taken a little more time with it.
I'm so tired of your crooked mind.
That's the only thing we can do with this situation is make light of it. The fact that my child is going to jail is one of the sadder days in my life. But it's my fondest hope that this whole process is so odious.
Hey, put that down real quick.
Okay. Oh, we were in the middle.
I was born in El Paso, Texas, to a military family. We moved everywhere in my youth, but settled in Seattle, Washington around 6th grade. By the time I was 17, I was engaged in a heated inner battle between music and business, and religion and secular. And I set out on the road, living in 30 different states until finally settling down and having a family at 24 in Sacramento, California. My firstborn son was given away for adoption in 1997. His name is Chip. It's an open adoption, so I've had lots of contact with him throughout his life. In 1998, my wife and I, a year later, had Madison. She really is my heart. Her mother and I separated around 2000, and I've been like a weekend dad ever since.
Looking for your righteous light.
Throughout the 3-year court battle out on bail, I set out on a strange sort of entertainment bucket list. I envisioned conviction and incarceration as a sort of death, and set out to accomplish everything I would normally just sit around and talk about. Ultimately, though, I lost the court battle, being found guilty of something I probably couldn't have even done because of a stupid newspaper article. Oh well, it made for an amazing ride.
So I'll no longer bear the need, pretending to be happy and free, but rather be me. The fastest way that we get old is by doing just what we're told. We're told to believe.
What just happened?
The judge gave me 360 days, so I have to do 90 days in, well, 180 days in custody at halftime. So that's 90 days in custody at county. And then he gave me like a 5-year hardcore probation and stuff, so I can't be playing music in bars anymore and stuff like that. But all in all, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. It still sucks, but you know, at least I know. I got rain dripping on me. I'm out and I'm free right now, so that's always a good feeling, because I didn't think I was making it out of there today. So the fact that I'm out here free, whatever else is good, but that'll wear off for too long. So, but I'm happy now. You kind of go from crisis to crisis. I mean, I suppose it all depends how you look at it, you know, but it's like, it's a series of disasters, you know, it's like a series of unfortunate events, you know, and then there's life in between the disasters. And that's the way, you know, some people could look at it. And I suppose maybe I'm guilty of that, but I think also that maybe the disasters, maybe if we could just make the crises and the disasters side notes, you know, that like maybe the beautiful moments, the beautiful things in life are actually, maybe they're the signposts or the guideposts, you know, and the disasters are just, you know, salt and pepper. But, you know, the high points of our lives, regardless of whether anyone else thinks they're high points, you know, if they're high points for us, I think they're defined by those disasters. I think that, you know, the contrast created by the low points in your life are the things that, that's how you appreciate the heights, I guess, you know. Otherwise, you know, it'd be a flat line. You know, I think it's a funny simile, really, you know, the idea that when we die, you know, the machine flatlines, you know, but like a life where you don't really have any disasters, but you don't really have any good stuff either. You know, you just kind of live, you eat, you poop, you shave, you sleep, you shower, you know. But a life that goes up and down like a heartbeat on the monitor, you know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. And I think, you know, the thing that stops people from really doing what they want to do and being who they want to be, you know, and experimenting and just, you know, living. So everyone's just afraid to suck. I'm not.
Whistling in the dark, whistling